Hello everybody and welcome to GM Mode episode 3. In this episode we are going to simulate to the end of the regular season for sure, and possibly into the postseason as well. There were a couple suggestions that have been made, and I'm going to go through them and we can determine what we should do. I personally think that we should wait until the postseason to do some of these moves, because the team right now is pretty hot. I mean, if things go askew, I can kind of make some changes. I mean, the trade deadline's over with, but make some changes into, you know, maybe waivers, maybe picking up somebody from the free agent market, things like that. Colorado's best player is a even plus minus. That's pretty embarrassing. So we're going to, let's just get some defensemen scouted. We're going to need some defensemen here pretty soon. The QMJHL, I believe, is pretty darn stacked in terms of defensemen, or I should say the OHL. Let's, I'm going to say we should probably keep scouting some of these guys. They're probably going to do really, really well in terms of the draft, so let's focus on that a little bit. So let's just kind of simulate ahead, get the scout out of our hair a little bit. Our team's doing really well right now, and I'm pretty excited for the offseason and the playoffs. I think we can make a good playoff run. I think personally that we're a Stanley Cup contender, but the goaltending in terms of being that Stanley Cup contender is a little bit shaky, and now that we're starting to go on a bit of a losing streak here, this is kind of looking bad in terms of how we're going to approach the playoffs and how we're going to fare in the playoffs, if you will. So MHF Zymansky, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, suggests I should trade Backstrom and a D-man for a veteran defenseman with good poise, then sign Brodeur as a free agent as a backup, and as a backup plan if Leonard and Kemper don't work well together as a tandem. Great video. Thank you for the suggestion and the great video compliment. Like I said, I'm going to wait until the offseason. What we have now is good, and I think that having the goaltending that I do now, having the tandem that I do, I think it's good to keep Kemper in the AHL, and hopefully they're in the playoffs as well, so he can get some AHL playoff experience. If not, I think this last year of him being in the AHL will help him become the better NHL backup for next season, so that he can back up Leonard. And I should and probably will sign somebody. I don't want to have a 3-goaltender tandem, but I mean, if Leonard doesn't work out early next season, then obviously I can trade or sign for a veteran presence to back up Leonard and then bring Kemper back down. Also, I could probably trade for a D-man with good poise. I think that probably will help in terms of, obviously it's too late now for the trade deadline, but I didn't necessarily want to trade Backstrom yet or a D-man to get a veteran D-man, because I think that our team is pretty well off in terms of, I mean, poise. I mean, Ryan Suter, 111 penalty minutes, being the top guy for the whole team. That's a pretty disciplined team. I think having another guy with poise we can look at maybe signing or trading for in the draft or the offseason, because the first draft pick I don't think is going to serve me very well, and I could just keep a stacked team and become a dynasty. Hopefully I win. Thank you. I wanted to at least get 50 wins there. So we're against Winnipeg in the first round. Hopefully we can keep this going. 1-0. Pretty good start. Pretty good start indeed. So yeah, we're going to make some of these changes in the offseason. And then Joe suggested Brad Boyes could be a good help to the shootout. His deking skill is great, and a good forehand to backhand shot top left has been really effective for him on and offline. So we're up 3-0 in the series. Pominville, Parise, Niederreiter, all doing good. And let's just continue the OHL. Let's try forwards here. They have a couple good forwards. Top 10, Connor McDavid. Do we look for a guy like Connor McDavid, or do we just kind of accept our bottom pick? That's going to be the real question. If we find a guy with great potential, I think it's going to be good to just sit back. So we're doing really, really, really well, and the AHL regular season has ended, and we beat Winnipeg 4-1. That's pretty good in my opinion. I'm pretty excited about that. Scandella, top penalty minutes guy. Backstrom with 4 wins, all 4 of them. So Backstrom's going to be leading the way through this year's playoffs, and winning the first series 4-1 is pretty encouraging. Let's stop. I just want to kind of simulate way ahead, make it a little bit easier. So I'm pretty excited. Dallas is next, 1-0. I mean, we're doing really well this season so far. 2-0. We're the LA Kings of 2012 right now, except we're home. Yep, that's the 3-0 victory, and sweep the Dallas Stars in round 2. That's pretty impressive. 8 games down, 8 games to go. Let's hopefully win the Stanley Cup this year. If we can win the Stanley Cup this year, I'm going to keep a lot of the big guys except the goaltending tandem. I really do think that... Oh, my GM ref is going up. Awesome. I really do think that Leonard and Kemper can be a really good 1-2 punch. We lost the first game there. That's going to be pretty critical. But we won the second one, so it's 1-1. Oh, 1-2. 1-3. 2-3. We can do this. We can still do this. Eliminated in the third round by the Chicago Blackhawks. That's an unfortunate end to the season considering how well things were going. Justin Falk had a lot of penalty minutes at the end of that. For him being the player that he is, I'm not too sure about that. So we'll kind of go through a season-ending kind of overview here. Just kind of curious what we can do in terms of scouting. Yeah, we'll do that. And let's kind of just simulate till about 22nd. We'll simulate past the prospects game, and then we'll look at the season recap, look at possibilities in terms of who we can maybe sign, who we can draft, things along those lines, and see what you guys think should happen for next season. Patrick Kane's won the Hart Memorial Trophy. That's pretty good. Our salary cap is looking really good. We have a lot of available cap. I don't think there's many restricted free agents. Obviously, we will have to see who we need to re-sign. We'll look at the contracts, who we should re-sign, who we should trade away, who we should just release. If you need to buy any players out, we can look at that as well. So I'll stop simulation wherever this ends. I would not like to play the game, but I would like to simulate. All right, so those are going to be the top 5 picks. Surprised Connor McDavid's not in there, although he is top 10 listed. So let's look at a recap of the season. Player stats, season. NHL. Let's look at the NHL level first. Maybe we can look at maybe calling a player or two up if we need to release some cap space. So Zach Parise, point per game player plus. Vanek as well, really well. Did a really good season. Koivu. Grunland did not produce as well as I wanted him to, in my opinion. I mean, if Suter's going to outpoint Grunland, that's not necessarily the best. But we have 2 30-plus goal scorers, 140. Pretty good amount of 20s. Pominville did well. Koivu did well. I mean, Pominville and Koivu being second liners with Vanek. Vanek kind of leads the way on there. So to have those 3 guys on the second line be in the top 4, top 5, Niederreiter might have been on that second line for a while too. So between Pominville and Niederreiter leading the 1-2 punch on the right, that's not a bad idea there. Brodin, Brodziak, not necessarily bad. We had a lot of players contribute to the team this season. Stu Bickle, Justin Falk, I'm not impressed with. I am not one bit impressed with. He's a guy that we can trade away for that Backstrom plus a D-man. Justin Falk is that D-man that we can get rid of for a good, hopefully better veteran presence in that back line. Or if we need to bring up maybe a John Blum from the AHL level, if we need to trade for somebody else. Because I want to look at goaltending as well. So I'm really curious to see how Leonard did. I'm really curious to see how we had with Kemper in the AHL. So Leonard 16-4, 2.31 goals against, better than Backstrom. Save percentage better than Backstrom. 1 shutout, 2 shutouts. What do he have? Oh, shootout losses 1. He even had an assist. I mean, that's he had a pretty good season for being a backup most of the year. Backstrom had a really good season as well, so I'm really impressed with that. And let's look at the AHL level here. See how they did. Blom, look at that. Schroeder, maybe a guy to call up. What's 2.5-star green? Not good. Not good at all. I guess we could give him another season in the AHL and see how he produces there. Nobody here is a point per game player, which is really not good. But our top defenseman would be Dumba. who's a 4-star gold. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Penalty minutes are a little bit high, but John Blum's more poised. Maybe he's the guy to bring up. Maybe we keep them in the minors for another year and do that trade for a veteran D-man. I guess it depends upon how you guys think that we should do this. Let's look at the playoff tree for the AHL. Did Iowa make it to the playoffs? Iowa did not make it to the playoffs. So our AHL team did not make it to the playoffs, which is sad, but it is what it is. How did we do in terms of that? We were the 3rd best team in the NHL with 104 points. Now that's really good. We won the division, won the whole Western Conference, Western Conference. Yeah, Ottawa and Tampa Bay. Wow. Yeah, 2nd most wins. Yeah, it's not a bad season for the Minnesota Wild. I'm really, I don't want to say surprised, but I'm pretty happy with that. So let's look at contracts and see what kind of people we need to re-sign, where we can go from here. Zucker, not a good potential there. All right, so we've got a couple guys unsigned, yada, yada, yada. So I believe, let's look at, here we go. I don't know if it's going to show us who's, I'm assuming all of these here guys are going to need re-signing for the 2015-2016 season, but I don't necessarily know. I mean, there's really nobody that's shining out in terms of whether or not they're going to need re-signing or not. Backstrom signed for another season too, so we can possibly get him. Yeah, so they're, yeah, okay. Yeah, so let's go through this this roster and see what we're looking at in terms of who's going to need to be re-signed. A couple of minor leaguers. Brodziak. How do you do? I mean, I'm just going to kind of scroll through this and you guys can see Justin Falk is going to be gone, I think. As much as I wanted him to do well and I wanted to see him do well, he just did not pull through. And then to get that many penalty minutes in the postseason, and we lost in the 3rd round when he started to get those penalty minutes, is not a good thing. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of re-signing people. We've got a couple, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in the NHL level right away that are restricted. 5 guys. So we should be able to get a pretty good free agency market if we can get rid of some of this. I don't know, maybe we could get rid of Brodziak. He's 31. Unless you want to keep that veteran presence, we can get rid of pretty much some wasted cap space and maybe sign a big player in the offseason. Maybe get rid of our draft picks for the following year, because we are going to be doing really well this next season, and I think it'll be nice. I also want to look at Kemper's stats in the AHL level. Player stats season. Oops. Sometimes it doesn't register right away. In the AHL level. Let's look at Kemper, and I think Leonard did well for us in terms of the NHL. Kemper 31 and 25, 2.14 goals against is really good. Gustafsson, I think, hopefully will be ready to lead that AHL level team. 92.6 save percentage. That's really not bad at all. He did pretty good this season for the AHL level, and they did make the playoffs, but to have a 2.14 goals against and a save percentage of 92.6, I'm pretty impressed with that. So I think that we could follow through with that. I'm thinking Backstrom plus Justin Falk for a veteran D-man or a better D-man to maybe take Justin Falk's spot, or maybe move somebody else down, perhaps. Let's see what... I mean, obviously, I don't think free agency is a good idea to look at now. There's a lot of options that we can do there. I can't really look at our lines. So we can do that. We could also maybe trade for a guy like Brad Boyes. I don't know if he's going to be needed, or if we need to maybe look elsewhere, or just kind of skip that for now. Maybe Brad Boyes will be a guy to get trade deadline year 2 if we need an extra player there to help with some finesse for that 2nd or 3rd line. But otherwise, we're going to kind of see what you guys think. I'm going to wait about a week, hopefully, to get some suggestions from you guys. I thank you for watching. I hope this is... we had a great first year as a Minnesota Wild, so I cannot wait to see some of the changes. I hope that Leonard and Kemper can really lead the way for next season. If they don't do as hot and we need a year to rebuild, we can rebuild, get rid of some cap space, and maybe rebuild for year 3. But let's get suggestions for year 2 and draft. If you need to trade a first-round pick maybe as well for that D-man with Backstrom and Falk, maybe we can do that as well. But until then, next guys, see you next time. Remember, shout-outs for suggestions. Thank you much. Have a wonderful